You may genuinely love God, not performatively, not for appearances, not because you're trying to seem more devoted than you actually feel. You may have real tenderness toward Yahweh, real belief in His Word, real gratitude for what He has done. And none of that is small, but at some point, love has to leave the heart and show up somewhere. That's not a harsh statement. That's just what love does. Think about any relationship where someone told you they loved you, but their choices never reflected it. At some point, the words would begin to feel incomplete. Not because love has to be loud, not because love has to be dramatic, but because love that never changes anything eventually reveals that something is missing. Maybe there's sincere feeling, maybe there is genuine admiration, maybe there is real gratitude, but covenant love carries weight. It moves, it responds, it chooses. Yeshua said it plainly in John 14:15. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. He did not say that to make obedience the price of his affection. He said it because love and obedience are not meant to be separated. Love is not the same as obedience, but love produces obedience, and obedience makes love visible. Deuteronomy 6:5 says, "You shall love Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might." That is whole life love. Not only heart love, not only belief love, and not only worship love. Heart, soul, and might. Love that reaches into the actual strength, choices, habits, and direction of your life. And this is where we have to be honest. Obedience can cost something. Sometimes it costs comfort. Sometimes it costs convenience. Sometimes it costs approval. Sometimes it costs a familiar rhythm, an old habit, or an explanation you've used for years. Love doesn't erase that cost. Love changes why the cost is worth offering. When you trust Yahweh's heart, obedience is not payment. It is response. It's love taking shape. It's the place where your life begins to say, I trust your way more than mine. That's the shift this teaching is about. Most of us were formed to think of love as primarily internal, a feeling, a loyalty, a belief in our hearts. And the danger is not that those things are false. The danger is that they can be completely true and still leave our lives largely unchanged. You can feel tenderness toward Yahweh and still let your speech be bitter. You can believe His word is true and still treat the Sabbath as optional. You can study Scripture for years and still have one area of your life that you protect from Him. That protected area, the one you already know about, is where this teaching lives. Not to condemn it, but to name it. Because here is what Yeshua is showing us in John 14:15. Love and obedience are not competing. Love produces obedience, and obedience confirms love. If one is missing, something is incomplete. Now, this is where people get tangled. They hear obedience and they hear performance. They hear your love must be visible, and they hear try harder. But that's not the call. The call is to ask a better question, not am I doing enough, but what would love look like here? That question changes the whole weight of obedience. Am I doing enough produces guilt, comparison, and exhaustion. What would love look like here produces clarity. Because now you're not trying to earn Yahweh's love. You're asking how your love for Him should shape this moment. Leviticus 11:45 says, "Be holy, for I am holy." Peter repeats that same call in 1 Peter 1:16 to people walking with Yeshua. Holiness is not about religious performance. It's about belonging. The longer you belong to someone, the more that belonging begins to show. Your speech changes. Your values start to shape your choices. What honors them starts to matter to you. What grieves them starts to grieve you. That's what set-apart living is, not outside pressure, not a checklist used to measure yourself against someone else, a life that is beginning to reflect the one it belongs to. And that kind of love almost always becomes visible somewhere ordinary. It may show up in your words when you are irritated. It may show up in how you guard the Sabbath. It may show up in what you bring into your home or what you put in your body. It may show up in what you allow to occupy your mind, not out of fear, not out of performance, but because you have started asking a different question. Does this reflect who I belong to? That question will reorganize your life more than any single dramatic decision ever could, because it follows you into the grocery store, into the conversation you are about to have, into the screen you are about to open, into the habit you've been defending, not as accusation, as invitation. There's a reason love requires visibility. It's not so Yahweh can check a box. It's so your life can begin agreeing with confession. Because when you make one ordinary choice that costs you something, when you choose His way, when your own way felt easier, something becomes clear. Not because you performed, but because love moved, and you let it. So here's the question to carry into this week. What is one ordinary area of your life where love for Yahweh has not yet shown up? Not everything at once, just one area, one choice, one visible act of love that says, I belong to you here also. That's where alignment begins, not in dramatic declarations, in ordinary obedience chosen because of love. If you're ready to let love shape how you walk, not just how you feel, the next step is wisdom for walking with God. This week, ask the question, what would love look like here? Then choose one ordinary step that makes your love visible.